can remember being really in Tulsa for probably my first time, it was first or second time, and I went to an event similar to this. Wasn't as much good training, but it was a room full of symmetry agents who I saw that were empowered to go out and do some great things. And when I got into that room, I heard Marvin Faulkner say one of the things that stood out to me the most. He said, Brad Smith is the biggest failure, you remember this, Marlon? That I know. He said, Edward Pritchett is the biggest failure that I know. And so today I want to tell you, Marvin Faulkner is the biggest failure that I know. Because he failed his way so much that he became successful. And so I came, it's really one assignment. I'm not going to do a bunch of teaching. I'm not going to give you a bunch of like sales skills and tools and all of that good stuff. Like, you got enough of that. You're going to get more of that. Wendy just tore the house down. I was in there in the rooms 1 and 2, and they were doing in-home presentation. I was like, oh my God, where's this been at all my life? So that's not what you need from me. It's not. I'll make you back. I promise. Because a lot of people ask, how'd you become the #1 producer? Not skill. Wasn't skill. I promise you. Cross that one off. That wasn't on the checklist. No skill to be had at that point. So what I came to do was really simple. I came to strengthen your resolve. Because I realized that it wasn't about skill. Never been about skill. A lot of people end up quitting this business. A lot of people in the very beginning, they just went out and got licensed. You talk to them, they were excited. They're ready to go. They're fired up. Somebody say fired up. Fired up. Say it like you're fired up. Fired up. Somebody, they said, listen, I'm fired up. I'm going to get these leads. I promise you, I'm going to be the best agent anybody's ever seen. I'm going to change my life, my family's life. I'm going to leave them a legacy. I'm going to have work-life balance. Most people didn't even know what work-life balance is and what it meant, right? But they've seen the video, and so all of a sudden they're going to have work-life balance, and then something hard happens. Yeah, then they quit. There was some limits to their resolve. Everybody's got a different limit. I've had different limits to my resolve at different places. I can remember getting started in this company and where I was. Man, it was terrible. I'm talking about miserable. I just closed down a business. Anybody know I was a meat man? I'm not going to go through that part. I was a meat man. I knocked door to door and all this good stuff. And we were okay. We were kind of successful, right? Any given day, any given week, I could go out and make myself a couple $1,000, $3,000. So we were low six figures. We had a six-figure budget, high six-figure budget, so we were always broke. I had no credit. I'm talking about about a 500 credit score, 460 credit score. I guess I can't even give myself 500. Anybody else been there ever before? You don't have to admit it, I promise. I'm not laughing at you because I was there. 500 credit score. I had an interest rate on my 2010 Chevy, 17% interest rate. Like, yeah, this is how bad it was. I had a credit limit with Capital One. Only person who would give me some credit. I don't know why they did. I had a 460 credit score. $300 credit limit. I was maxed out on a $300 credit limit. Right, maxed out. Couldn't get any more. And so I get into this business and I hear this video and Nate Offer's talking about starting this thing on a credit card, and I'm like, man, I wish I could get a credit card. I wish I had a wife that I could take out a car in her name, please. Couldn't see it. I was working all the time. Wendy talked about working 80 hour a week. She's always trying to help me, but I got her there. Because I was working 6 days. I'd leave my house at 5 a.m. I'd get back at midnight. I'm talking about 6 days a week, sometimes on 7. Sometimes 7 when somebody would call and say, hey boss, I know you're off today and you're at church with your family, but can you stop by the office and load me up? I really need to go to work. And this went on for years. So much so, my wife, she felt like she was a single mom. We were married. I came home every single night. My kids didn't have a meaningful relationship with me. I was the guy that came home every night, right? The guy that they got to go hang out with a couple hours on a Sunday. It's in a bad place. I can remember my breaking point. Whenever my 9-year-old, he came to me, Jeremiah, and he had started hanging out and going to be with his friends. And he said, Dad, Christian, that was one of his best friends. He said, Christian's dad, he works too, and he owns a business. He has time to play with Christian. Why don't you ever have time to play with us? And I felt this big. Miserable. And at that point, my resolve came to a place where I uttered these words. I don't remember. Enough is enough. Anybody ever been there? Yes. Where I did all I can take. I've done everything that I can do. I'm sick of promising that this is the last year it's going to be that way. I'm sick of promising that the next year I promise our business is going to be to the point where Dad doesn't have to work the way that. I'm sick of coming back next year with the same thing. I'm sick of going on vacations to the Gulf Coast 4 hours away, 6 hours away, whatever it was when we were living in Memphis, and could not afford really to do much. We're talking about happy families just blotted out on the beach, and we can't even look at them because they're smiling. We're disappointed. My wife's disappointed in me because I'm acting a fool, because I am broke and I'm miserable and I don't know how to stop. I don't even know why we're on this trip. We're keeping up with the Joneses. Enough is enough. I had a heart-to-heart with my business partner, and I said, you know what? I don't care if we triple. I don't care if we grow. This has to change. Somebody say enough is enough. I know that there are people that came into this room that are bound and determined, literally like on a mission. Like you said, this has got to be the event that something changes for me. This has got to be my time. I'm so sick of living this way. I'm so sick of getting these no-shows. I'm so sick. Somebody's there right now. If you've been there, if you are there, look at this. If you're not there, look at the person next to you and tell them that's me. He's talking about me. Look at the other person. No, me too. Listen, I met Brad Smith, knocked on the right door one day. My life changed. Not subtly. My life changed a little bit because he described to me this company. This company where I could have a work-life balance. This company where I could have both time and money. This company that I could build a legacy that I could leave behind to my kids. Lights come on. Because I said, enough is enough. Listen, when I said enough is enough, it was enough for me to change, write this down, my situation. It's enough for me to change my situation. I decided, hey, let's do something different. And it's amazing. When I seen this opportunity, I went back to Jeremiah, the same kid who said, why don't you have time to play for us with us? And I went back to him, and I was excited. I was on fire after talking to Brad Smith, and my wife knew I was excited about it. I went to Jeremiah and I said, our lives are going to look different a year from now. I promise. And I went to the mirror, and I told myself, our lives are going to look different a year from now. I'm not going to break that promise. But, you know, when you set your attention, you let the whole world know, you let your kids know, then all hell breaks loose. And so this guy who was coming in here to change his life and things were going to look different a year from now, this guy struggled 6 weeks. I'm talking about every single thing. I was excited too. Every single thing that you guys that happened to you, it happened to me too. And if it hadn't happened, it's going to happen to you. I promise. So get ready. They hung up on me. They cussed me out. You're the principal or superintendent. Glad to see you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
They cussed me out. They told me, like, I never sent this in. This is a scam. Yeah. All of that stuff happened, just like it happened to you. And I sent Brad a text. Week number 5. I complained a lot. Anybody ever complained? I complained a whole lot. And I'm talking about, I gave him everything. Like, I spent $1,200 on leads. This is garbage. These people, they don't even want to talk to me. Everybody's hanging up on me. And I finished that text message and I said, I know you don't know me very well, but one thing you got to learn about me is that I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter. And I don't care what I need to read, who I need to talk to, what meetings I need to attend. This has got to work for me. This has got to work for me. Because I had gotten to the point where enough was enough. And I knew I needed to change that situation. I knew it had to be different. Things started to change. My first 90 days, I went out. June 2017, after coming to Tulsa to an event, I did $41,000 in premium. July 2017, this is month number 2 in the business, I did $45,000 in premium. So I did $86,000 in my first 2 months. Brad texts me and he says, dude, congratulations, you're an elite producer. And I said, what's that? I'm just out grinding, right? I'm out deciding that I'm getting ready to change the situation because a year from now, things are going to look different. I promised. And so 90 days passes. I've done $100,000 in my first 90 days. I've gotten deposited over $60,000 in deposits in my first 90 days. Crazy, right? Wasn't enough. I remember going to November leadership conference in Asheville, North Carolina. Wasn't the one that you were at. You were at the next one. I rode down with Vlad Stefanovic. I rode down with Kobe Setzer. We were in this Honda Civic. We drove 14 hours. None of us could afford a plane ticket. There again, this was November. I started in July. This was November. I had done $100,000, had $60,000 deposits. I couldn't afford a plane ticket. Okay, let's make sure you caught that. So we driving up to Asheville, North Carolina, and on day 2, they did this. That was when they did that 10-mile uphill climb that me and Kobe wanted nothing to do with, and so we did. We went back to the room. We were like, okay, these people are crazy. We're going to dial leads. That's what we're going to do. That's when I witnessed Kobe Setzer in 15 minutes book 5 appointments and decided that I was going about this stuff wrong way. Like I needed to shorten some things up because one appointment was taking me 15 minutes, and here it is, he did 5. On the way back, Vlad, me, Kobe, we're all like, giving each other stuff, crap, and I have to watch my language, I'm sorry. And we all committed. We said, hey, we're gonna be agency owners by the next conference. Committed to it. Gonna be agency owners. Of course, all hell breaks loose, but we won't talk about that part. We're going to be agency owners. The next day, in fact, lead order comes in. I text Brad. I almost named this thing I text Brad because it's been like the game changer in all of my dilemmas, right? I text Brad and I say, Brad, I need you to spot me on leads this week because I just came back from leadership conference. I spent everything, don't have any money. All the excuses. And I think he even did. I think he did spot me on leads that week. But the next morning, he sent me a text message. And it was a video with Lisa Nichols. Write that down. Never broke again. And Lisa talked about how when her daughter was 11 months old, a baby, she checked her bank account. She had $11.34 in it. She couldn't afford to buy diapers for her baby. And so she had her wrapped in a towel. And she said, I told my daughter, she said, I whispered in my baby's ear and I told her, don't worry. This is the last time Mama will ever be this broke or broke in again. Somebody say never again.
Never again.
Say that loud. Never again.
Never again.
See, at this stage of the business, my resolve needed to grow to a new level because there again were limits even then to my resolve. And so my resolve grew to never again. Now, enough is enough. I had to change my situation, right? Never again, that part of the resolve, I had to change, right? That's what you'll see. I had to change some things, but I had to change my mind. TJ says the most powerful thing is a changed mind. There's nothing more powerful than a changed mind. I had to begin to read books. I had to realize that I didn't have it all together. I didn't know all the answers. I had to decide to start journaling, start taking notes, start getting around people who had the things that I wanted. The word resolve means a determination to do something. I like keywords, but I think the key word there is do. It requires some action. A lot of times we think that I can just change my mind about something. I can just change the way I think about something. I can just want it bad enough. Yeah, that's part of it. How bad do you want it? But wanting it, that's not all of it. I've got to do something about it. Something has to be different. So for me, we decided to do a few things. I opened up another account. I had to. I wasn't using either of them appropriately. Decided, hey, I'm going to separate things. I'm going to make sure that I've got first off a lead budget, because I will never, ever ask Brad to send me lead money ever again. Never have. Right? I'm going to make sure I got a lead budget. I'm going to make sure that I can stay prepared. And I know chargebacks are going to come. So I'm going to put some money to the side. I'm going to make sure I got reserves, some savings / chargeback is what I called it back then. My personal. Because never again would I ever be in that place where I was that broke ever again. My resolve changed. Something happens when you decide, never again, not me. It's not going to be me. That's not going to be my story. Somebody needs to make that decision. It's not going to be me no more. Where I am today, this is over. This is done. Never again. That same year, and now we're in 2018, March of 2018 or April, we went to a Pritchett conference, a United conference, and I checked my account. There was more money in our savings account than I had ever made in it. Never again. Somebody say never again.
Never again.
See, yes, mindset, super important, but doing something about it, even more important. I can remember Marlon Faulkner, another time he impacted my life. We were at that Pritchett event, and that year was 2018 when I ended up being the #1 producer. We were halfway through the year, something like that, a quarter of the way through the year, and they came across the microphone and they said, I just want to announce that Jeremy Whitaker is the #1 producer in all of Symmetry. Make noise! Do it. Thank you. The crowd went something like that. It was a little bit louder. See, and the very next week we get on a conference call, and Marlon Faulkner for some reason has to hand it off to me, and he says, this guy is the #1 or #2, not first, you're last, first place loser, right? The Marlon Faulkner stuff. And I decided at that moment, Marlon Faulkner would never do that to me again. Because I got on a call like a week or two, maybe 3 weeks after that, and I said, I will be the #1 producer in Symmetry Financial Group. Mark my words. Some of you heard that. And I went to work. Right? Can't talk. You gotta walk it. I went to work. But I decided I will. Somebody say I will.
I will.
I decided I will. I will change my life. I will buy more leads than anybody else will. I will work more appointments than anybody else is willing to. Listen, when they all take off this year for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I will be out working, and I'm going to be the #1 producer. I will. Who will? Who will? Wendy Tanner came into the door. She did no experience in this industry, was an appointment setter. Went out, first week, made a little something happen, really didn't enjoy it. Then what happens? COVID happens. Now you're not only going from being an appointment setter and having to now go in and your mentor's telling you, hey, you need to get in there in the house, But now you go into this new world where nobody else has ever done it. Nobody else has done appointments remotely all across the screen, right? Like most people didn't even understand how to work Zoom all the way. Who will?
I will.
Wendy will, right? Wendy will do it. I think about Nick Redmond. Nick Redmond, to understand where he came from, New York, living in New York, unfulfilled, unhappy, sends out a text message, says, hey, anybody know of something I can do as a side job, right? He's on a Facebook group. And I messaged him back and sent him a video. He struggled. His first year, really. You're talking about 3 months. I was 6 weeks and I wanted to quit every single day. This guy went 3 months and only sold $16,000 in premium. He said to me, hey, I don't know why it is that you're so confident that you're going to go out there and you're going to do $10,000 every week you put your mind to it. If I could just make $6,000 in a month, it would change my world. This guy wrote $25,000 in a week. Yeah. This guy wrote $60,000 this month on his own pen. I will. Who will?
I will.
Who will?
I will.
Who will?
I will.
I think about front row, Tyler Kelly. Changed his life and doesn't know it yet. Right? To go from a place where you're, man, I know that there's something more that can be done. I don't necessarily have the tools, I don't have the income, I don't have the resources, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Who will?
I will.
Who will?
I will.
You have to get to a place where you know that if it's gonna happen, I'm the guy. I'm the guy that's gotta do it. If nobody else is willing to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
If nobody else will go through that kind of fire, I'm gonna go through the fire. I don't care. I will. Every single time. This is what we have to get our resolve at. But what I realized about never again, it can only take me so far. There's a limit to it. 2020. I'm defeated. We're doing okay. Doing over $1 million every year. Never had a year under $1 million. Starting to see some traction in some producers. We got 3 key leaders, but we got no agency owners. And everybody else that started as an agency owner the same time as me, it's like, dude, they're regional agency directors, they're MVPs, and I'm thinking like, what is wrong with them? Why can't I duplicate this kind of leadership? And I realized it was because I was stuck. I was stuck in never again. Never again is a good place to be at. But never again gets comfortable. It does. Never again gets to a place where like, man, I got so much in the savings account, okay, you know? The worst part about success is just a little bit. Just a little bit. Never again. It can only get me so far. It only got me to agency owner and plateaued. But it was good. It was a good life. But I realized that if I was going to grow, I had to go somewhere different. And so 2021, we got with our leaders. We're an agency owner, not even an agency owner. We had already started calling people agency owners, trying to speak something into existence, right? But we were on a leaders meeting. And I got with our leaders and I said, this is the year that we create 2 on a committed side, and 3 is our goal, agency owners. Once and for all. Somebody say that, once and for all.
Once and for all.
Say that again, once and for all.
Once and for all.
So I had to get my resolve to this place where I knew if it's gonna happen, number 1, it's gotta be me. Once. I'm not saying that it's only gonna take one try at it. I knew that wasn't the case. Right? I'm not saying that I'm gonna get it right that first time once. And I'm going after every single thing that's owed to me. Right? 4, it's for some reason. There's a reason. Right? This can't be about me. Because if it's about me, when it gets too hard, I'm quitting. What's it for? All. Every bit of it. Every bit of what belongs to me. I want every single thing that's got my name on it. I believe it was mine before I was born. I believe it was given to me, like handed to me. All I gotta do is reach up and I gotta grab it. All of it. I had to get to this place where once and for all, I knew that if I could press this mountain one time, I could do it 1,000. If I learned how to do $10,000 in a week, I could do it every week. If I learned how to help and empower somebody to become an agency owner, I could do it 50 times in the next 5 years. Once and for all. Right? Once. This thing wasn't ever about not failing. I knew that part of this thing is that getting this done was failing as much as possible. Marlon Faulkner told me that my first event. 4. It's for you, man. It's so that your kids, your children's children don't have to live the way that you had to live. All of us. All of us together. All of us moving in one direction, changing the world around us. All. I didn't know how this was going to get done. I knew my resolve had to be there. I just knew I couldn't quit. I knew I couldn't give up. That's it. This had to work for me. Never knew how it was going to work. Didn't know if I was ready for it to work. Failed at every single thing in my life. Never been good at it. Didn't know if I was going to be good at it. Questioned whether or not this was for me. Whether or not I was actually ready. I got to a place where I decided, ready or not.
Here I come.
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 Ready or not.